I like you guys' emojis up there. But you're not that light, Marcus.
You're not. Thank you, bro.
Don't even try.
That's
You looking like you Dominican. I know black.
Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, everybody. Experts are predicting a 2023 housing turnaround. We're going to be talking about the Fed that just increased interest rates yet again. We're going to be dealing with the real estate hot or not. And we got a special guest today. We got Errol from Smart Settlements. Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, folks. What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor.
Mortgage Coach Marcus here.
Welcome to the Real Estate Wire. Today we got a special guest. We got Errol from Smart Settlements. What's going on, Big Errol?
How you doing, everyone? Hello.
Errol is a title. You're a representative with the title company.
Yes, I'm actually the regional director for Smart Settlements.
Thank
So
you,
I handle all of our concerns in Maryland as well as in Florida.
How long you been in the title game?
About 5 years, but we've been in business 17 years.
Because I know we had a closing last summer?
Uh-huh.
And that was the first time I think we had met.
Yes.
And I was like, yo, this is a cool, chill, like big smooth brother. I really picked up on your vibe. Like the whole time was really, really chill, and you made the whole experience very, I'll say calming, relaxing. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the gift of gab and all of that. So
I'm wondering why we haven't had more deals, but we'll talk about that offline.
Well, I can say that working with you, Smart Settlements, from top to bottom has always been a super, super dope experience.
Thanks.
The thing that I like most, number one, in working with your back ops, your office staff and your operations, there's never any problems. If there are any hurdles, everybody's quick to be proactive to figure it out, how to navigate through and get us to the table smoothly. Communication's always very clear. Even up front when I'm quoting fees and things like that to my clients, your website is very user-friendly. And then when we get to the settlement table, I was talking with Ryan last episode, been in the game 20 years, and there's been a lot of transactions early in my career that it's stressful all the way to the point of getting to the table. You know, you feel that anxiety and that stress sometimes, right? But my experience at the table with you is the playlist, is the music going on in the background. It's a celebration. This literally is a celebration and a reward for all the hard work that our borrowers have done, getting the credit, income, going all that, finding the house and all that stuff, getting the loan done. And you all bring it together so well. So I just want to say thank y'all for basically changing how settlements, I think, really should flow.
Well, thank you. So, we're a minority-owned business. So
you love that.
We want to make sure that we exemplify that as well as making it a celebration. At Smart, it's not about us. It's about you all, our real estate partners and our mortgage partners as our clients. And we want to represent you all to your clients, which are, our sub-clients. So we're not like some title companies that want to be all in the videos, all in the club.
They want to do the P. Diddy thing. They want to be in the video dancing.
We don't want to do that. We want to put our best foot forward to make you look good. Yeah. So whatever presentation that you see, we try to stay on brand. Yeah. In terms of making it a celebration, making it an easy transition. We're, like I said, we're minority owned. We have 5 principal partners, and then the majority of our work staff are women and women of color. So because of that, they put their very unique nurturer and nurturing spirit behind handling your files.
That's dope.
So they want to make sure that it's like a motherly atmosphere, which is a good thing. Yeah. So they want to take care of, again, our mortgage partners as well as our real estate agent partners to make sure that you guys are well taken care of. Yeah. And then once you get to me and I'm doing the settlement for you, I want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in their transaction.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, y'all one of the first title companies that I ever seen drinking like at the settlement. Like y'all have a whole bar, like the whole spread.
Yeah, we try to, make it a celebration, like Marcus was saying, because this is probably one of the largest purchases that you'll ever make. Yeah. And then with that, we want to make sure that it's calming and easing for you, because it can be, in some instances, very stressful for all parties concerned. So we want to alleviate as much stress as possible.
Yeah, you'll do a great job of that.
Well, thank you.
You all had I was looking at something online on your Instagram page. You all did a rebranding a while back. Were you part of that? And what was the reason behind it? I'm just curious.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily a rebranding. It was just a refresh. You know, we want people to just know that, you know, we're different than the others. And so in that, we want to make sure people understand of how we're doing our business better, bigger, and smarter, if you will, than others.
Got it.
You know, we don't try. Our only competition is ourselves. So we want to beat what we did the day before every day. We want to make ourselves better every day. And we want to be a better partner to our partners every day. So that's what our goal is.
Got it. So as a 6'2", 6'4".
Are you really 6'4"?
Yeah, 6'4".
Now, see, when people say it, I believe you. Everybody says, "Here's my." You want to hear my height theory? Here's my height theory: 5'9" to 5'10", right? You're really 5'8" because you're lying. 5'11", they always say that they 6 feet or 6'1". They're lying. If you're 6'1", you're lying. You're really like 5'11", 5'10". Right. If you're 6'3", you're probably not lying about that. Like, you have no reason to lie.
Right.
If you're gonna lie, you're gonna say 6'1". You're not gonna lie to say 6'3" unless you're gonna lie to say 6'4". But after 6 feet, nobody really cares. It's like, okay, you've reached the level of height acceptability,
right?
So you no longer have to lie about it.
Yeah, I'm 6'4", 275.
That's my theory. 275?
Yeah.
You had to add the 275 on there, or did?
Yeah, I'm a big dude.
6'4" wasn't enough.
Yeah, I want it's all big.
Yeah. Got it.
So,
but your suits are always impeccable, bro.
I mean, you know, I'm Jamaican. I'm from New York. We have it's a way we have to have our swag.
You got to do it.
There's one thing that you and I have in common. Besides the obvious, we're both black and we're both good looking. But besides that, we both have to, more than likely, both of us have to get our suits like super, super tailored.
Yes.
So the leftover fabric that they use from your suits.
yes, for sure.
That's stupid.
For sure.
They make the suit for me.
Yes, indeed.
So what I was going to say is, you know, 6'4", you say 270, right?
75.
275.
Okay, go around and wait for me.
Yeah.
But you're soft spoken in some ways, right? You're a gentle giant, right?
Yes.
That's the thing that I've observed about you. But your background, I don't know if you can even talk about it. You told me at the table one time you got a military background, and I'm like, you're in the settlement business, and I'm like, and you're having to be so like accommodating. So, how did you end up in the title business? So
I was in the military for a period of my life, and I was in special operations. I was a sniper, and then after that, I matriculated to college.
You don't see me talking.
And I went to Kansas State.
I like
and
my
so
life.
I'm one of the owners, Thomas Randolph. He and I went to undergrad together, so I've known him for over 30 years. And then after that, I worked on Wall Street. I was in private banking and investment banking for about 20 years.
Okay.
And then I worked in academia. I was an adjunct professor as well as the director of recruiting and admissions at GW for their executive MBA program. So I got into the title business because when Thomas and his wife, which is also one of our partners, Evelyn Miller, when they moved here, some of my private banking clients were mortgage brokerage owners and big real estate developers. I helped them build their title business. So when I transitioned from academia, he was like, you should come, work at Smart. So I had met Carlos, who was one of our owners as well, him and his wife, with Thomas and Evelyn years ago. And it just was a right fit. I'm a people person. Sure. I like to engage with the community, and I liked what their vision was, and they allow me to be uniquely myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to, fit into a certain box. I can just be Errol.
Yeah.
It would be a very large box.
It would be. It would be, or a small, uncomfortable box.
Yeah. Yep.
So for me, I like being able to, and I value having a sense of family, and that's what we are at Smart. We're a family, and we try to treat our clients, and we don't really like to even call them clients, our partners, like you all, like family. You know? like for me, I don't sleep. You can call or text me at any time, and you've done that, you know, on the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, unless if you call or text me at any time, I usually respond within an hour.
For sure.
And that can be at 12 o'clock midnight. Like we've been out, you know, at events and you've texted me, you know, on your way home and I've responded.
Yep.
And people are like, you really don't sleep? And Thomas is always like, bro, like sometimes you got to like turn it off. And I'm like, I do turn it off, but like I value our clients' relationship to where I want them to know they have accessibility within reason. But I know if you're texting or calling me at an odd hour, there's a reason behind that. It's not just, hey man, I just was wondering what was the score on the game last night. It's not that. It's, it's something of importance.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 99.7%. Because what I will say,
what's the 0.3? Is
what I'm getting ready to say right now. The 0.3.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I did cut you off.
But not to interrupt for a second, but you know, I think that 0.03 actually. If we're talking about math, the 0.03.
Sure.
I am. Would you like to bet?
You said 99.7.
I said 99. What did I say? 0.07? I think I said 0.07. We're going back to 10. Point being is this. Yeah, I'm definitely down with like being accessible to my clients and da-da-da-da. But there's always, like after a certain point, it's like, look, I'm going to probably not be answering my phone after, 7:30. And I explain it to my clients. I'm like, around 7:30, I'm probably not going to answer my phone. Now, if it's the day before settlement, yeah, go ahead and call me. I'm going to pick up that phone if it's 9 o'clock at night. That to me, if it's a day before settlement and you're calling me, I'm thinking, okay, that's probably something important. Now, if, we ain't got nothing ratified or not even under contract, I'll probably look at your joint and check the voicemail. If it's rather important, I'll call you back. But more than likely, I'll just call you the next day because as real estate professionals, it is hard to draw that line sometimes between, professional, I got to sit here, play with my kid and, hang out with the family and business, where it's like, okay, I got a deal closing. So, there's always that balance that you got to have.
No, I understand that. What I would argue is that, and I don't disregard anything that you're saying. What I would argue is the people who have called me at non-business hours, if you will, most of them, the majority of them are calling me because there is an issue.
Yeah.
It's not just some random thing that they just want to chat.
Mm-hmm.
So they self-control.
Yeah. And I think too, being in the title business, I think the level of I would say if they're calling you, it probably is something important.
Right.
And then I guess you can get to what is important, right?
Right.
I mean, sometimes my clients call me with just a random question that wasn't super important, and they acknowledge that, hey, it wasn't important. We can talk about it tomorrow, right? Or, actually, this is a big deal. Just moved some money and I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. What I do, you know what I mean? Those types of, it's a judgment call.
And then I also, manage our hard money lending department with smart lending. So with developers like yourself and real estate agents who are working with our hard money team, they may be calling me at different hours and saying, hey, this has shifted in terms of the acquisition of said property or what my scope of work is going to be. So I need to amend, these different things on the deal because I know we're closing at this date or this time and I need to amend it. But it's not, for the most part, it's not anything that's weird.
Yeah. I think it's good to set, my wife will appreciate this, boundaries.
Right?
Healthy boundaries, yeah.
Yeah, healthy boundaries. That's something that we've learned about through studies, through different groups that we've been a part of about what's setting boundaries, maintaining those boundaries, and it being a healthy thing because it promotes productivity, but it's also, it promotes peace.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, what you're talking about is a very, very good thing. You said, what's important. And just like we talked about before, what's success? It means different things to different people. But I just, if we bring it all the way down to the front door, like I really enjoy my experience and my clients have as well.
And I appreciate that. Thank you. And we're very honored and appreciative to work with you all.
Yeah.
And that's why, when we do events, we go all out for our events that we do for our clients.
Yep.
We want to make sure that we show our appreciation
for sure
to you all.
Where are you licensed again?
So I'm licensed in Maryland, DC, and Virginia.
Okay.
And then for our hard money, we basically can do anything in the 50 states.
Okay. You mentioned Florida. What was the Florida?
So I'm sorry, and also in Florida, we also have a title company arm in Florida.
Nice.
So if you're doing any deals in Florida, we do that there too.
Yep. Got a bunch coming. So look out for the title orders on that.
No doubt.
So let's get to the top real estate. So let's get to the real estate headlines, shall we?
Sure.
We shall.
Shall we, gentlemen?
We shall.
So, article in Keeping Current Matters talks about what we talked about in a few episodes. Well, what I said in a few episodes ago, which is experts forecast a turnaround in the housing market in 2023. And like I said, Marcus, you remember Real Estate Wire Squad. You guys remember when I said, do not get too excited or too devastated about any one particular piece of news, because
yes, you did say it.
It's always going to go up and down and up and down, and everybody's like, oh yay, interest rates went down. Oh, the market's turning around. Oh, it's going down. Oh, it's going up. Like, yo, that means nothing to the man with a plan, because irrespective of the outside circumstances, the plan stays the same no matter what, which is accumulate real estate, never sell until you die and pass it on to your family. That's it. I mean, with real estate agents, if you want to sell, dope. But our squad, the Real Estate Wire Squad, y'all not selling anything. Don't sell. Buy your house. Hold on to it. Unless you got to sell. You got to sell, go ahead and sell. But the key to building wealth
is a good flip, though.
I mean, to me, I don't want the money. I'd rather pass it to my kid. I don't want to sell anything. I don't need it. I mean, I need it, but I don't need it like that. Unless, God forbid, something happens. You know, anything can happen at any time. But the wealth building strategy is buy and hold.
Buy and hold, yeah. I'm with that. I'm with it.
So they said that, so the article talks about the housing market has gone through a lot of changes. And much of that has resulted in how quickly the mortgage rates rose last year. And we all know that they rose the interest rates because they're trying to take care of or quell inflation. And we all already talked about the last episode, how inflation, or one of the past episodes, we talked about how inflation happened. If you didn't listen to that, then check out some of our previous podcasts. We talked all about inflation and what exactly inflation is and why the Federal Reserve is increasing interest rates, because they're trying to bring down inflation, because eggs being $5 is not something that I think the majority of Americans really want to experience. And the reason, well, that was because of like a flu, some bird flu, quote unquote. But the supply and demand chain was affected, right? Long story short, across the entire country, right? For all of our goods and services, there was so much money that hit the market, and that caused prices to pull up because it reduced the supply, push up the demand, and increase the prices. Now the Federal Reserve is trying to increase the interest rates in order to reduce that, and they're trying to delicately balance on a knife's edge, because they don't want to send this into what I believe we're already in, which is a recession. I already think we're in a recession. They keep changing the name of what they say a recession is. You ask me, now they're changing the what's inflation too. They keep trying to change the definition of that. But if you just look purely economically, we're in a recession already, and inflation's out of control. And so interest rates just dropped a couple seconds, like 0.25 or something like that, and
it went up. The Fed funds rate went up by.
Oh, the Fed funds rate went up, and then that pushed the prices down. How's that work?
Fed funds rate is the money that the banks are.
That's the money that they charge banks
overnight. Like, so, one bank borrowing from another, so we're at 4.75 now.
So smaller banks borrow from the government.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did cut you off. So we're kind of just going into my headline.
Right. No, but I mean, it's a free flowing conversation. Okay. I was just kind of asking about that because that is kind of tricky. Like, the Federal Reserve. Who loans money to the smaller banks? Which bank is that? The government? Who loans smaller banks?
The Fed funds rate is the money that the banks are borrowing
from who?
From each other overnight.
Oh, okay.
So when they raise that, that's how that number impacts your credit cards, your loans, your car loan, those types of things, right? It trickles down and gets to the mortgages. It can, but like if you have a home equity line, they'll say a home equity line, if you got good credit, it'll say the prime rate, right?
Yeah. So, what is the prime rate?
So the Wall Street Journal prime rate is kind of like the, gosh, how do I want to say it? Well, I'm not going to say it that way because I know it's going to do deep water. But anyway, we'll go back to that. Prime rate is if you have good credit, that's some of your best interest rates, right? So Wall Street Journal prime rate sitting at 7.75.
Like a prime steak.
Thank you. Thank you. So
you gotta break it down for us in the cheap seats, Real Estate Wire Squad.
And then based upon your exposure, you know, how much of a loan they might be giving you, how much your house is worth, things like that. What your credit really looks like. How exposed the lender might be, right? So what's the risk that they're taking? So I say exposure meaning risk.
Based on the person's credit profile.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that prime rate, they might say, okay, because you got good credit and you got a ton of equity in the house, we know we're going to give you a home equity line of credit. We're going to give you the prime rate and add nothing to it. But if there's a little bit more risk that's layered in, they may say prime plus a half a point.
Because of your credit profile.
Because of the profile you present, right?
Got it.
So if you had a home equity line of credit, let's say you refinanced in the last 2 years and your interest rate is 3%. You should never touch that mortgage because your 30-year fixed, don't touch it. But if you went and needed equity out of your property, then you need to go and get a home equity line, right? Home equity line of credit might have started out at prime and you've been at an interest rate of 5%. But over time, prime has gone up. So if your interest rate has gone up and the balance is what it is, your payment's gone up. How do I know that? I'm experiencing that right now myself because of the equity line that
So the payment on your equity line of credit can change depending on the prime interest rate. That's not fixed
because your rate. You do have two options. You can get a fixed second mortgage, or you can get a home equity line of credit, which is a variable. Think of it like in the same vein of a credit card. It's got a limit to it. It's got a balance. You can use it and pay it down.
So what would you recommend? You recommend a line or you recommend a refi?
Not right now, not a refinance, no. But if you need to tap equity, get a home equity line of credit. Because the rates and the benefit can be cheaper because usually the first 10 years of payment, it's an interest-only payment.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit cheaper.
It's a scam.
These are tools that
don't get me wrong. It is a tool to build wealth. We have very limited tools at the bottom of the pyramid. And that's why Muslims they're like, yeah, we don't mess with interest, man. About to drain all cash. Now, it's kind of hard in this economy and the state of our society to buy a $500,000 house all cash, but I understand the principle behind it.
And if I may interject, I want to add something to what you said, just a tad bit of a correction. So the issue with the inflation and the recession, it's a global phenomenon. It's not just domestic.
Sure.
That's point one. Point two is that we are not technically in a recession by the fundamentals.
Well, okay, fair enough. Because you have to have 2 quarters of negative GDP growth.
Well, not just that. Unemployment is at one of the lowest rates in history. So you'd have to have high unemployment also.
Job losses.
Right, to be in a recession.
Now, is that just another component of a recession, or is that the actually included in the definition of recession?
That's also included.
Okay, so negative job growth, negative GDP.
Yes. And then also the supply and the supply chain issues that happen globally, and also including the COVID restrictions, were a part of this phantom recession that we have. Right?
I hear your eyes rolling.
Right. So, because if you look at, when you look at the economy, and again, let me just give you a little background so that way you'll understand what I'm speaking about. I have knowledge of.
We're about to find out that we in the cheap seats right now.
Go ahead.
So I have several undergraduate degrees and 2 master's degrees.
Well, you didn't say none for us.
So I have a degree in economics, a degree in finance, a degree in banking and monetary policy, and a degree in theology and religious studies focused on political science.
Oh, we going there next.
And then I have a dual MBA in international business and international finance. And like I said, I worked in finance and on Wall Street for 20 years. So having said that, this global phenomenon, because we are globally linked with all of the other economies, at least, the modern economies.
Right.
You have to remember there are several phenomenons that have happened over the last 3 years in conjunction with COVID. Remember when the shipping lanes were shut down.
Right.
When those several ships were.
Now that was related to COVID, though.
No. The 3 ships that got stuck in the shipping lanes.
Was that a strike?
No, it wasn't a strike. They got stuck. They literally physically got stuck.
Okay, I remember. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was one. Two, remember when the governor of Texas was slowing down the trucks coming into Texas from Mexico?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because he was doing those fake inspections.
Right.
So that's two.
I thought that was also a COVID protest.
It wasn't a COVID protest. What he was doing was he was trying to make the Mexican make sure that the Mexican trucks that were coming in from Mexico, he was doing these fake inspections to tamp down border entrances.
Got it. Okay.
But it wasn't something that was needed or regulated.
Sure.
So he was slowing down goods and services coming into the United States from our Mexican counterparts.
Yep.
So, and then during COVID, when the shipping lanes coming into the country were slowed down because of COVID, then once we got that removed, there was the slack. It's like a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
You have slack in a wire, and the slack releases.
Yep.
Then remember, on the West Coast and the East Coast, all of our shipping containers, they had no room in the port of Baltimore, the port of Los Angeles, the port of Long Beach. There was just nothing but shipping containers there. So goods, perishable and non-perishable, just being stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked on top of each other. So it was a supply chain issue. Things were going rotten. Food was going rotten because we had just a ripple effect.
Now you do have to add to piggyback is during that time people also were infused with cash.
Well, that's the other thing I'm about to say, right?
Yeah.
So with that infusion of cash, we in our society, we were buying things. We were buying a lot of things, mostly luxury goods. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the stock for LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, and Moet.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
That's the reason why the chairman of Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, and Moet is the richest man in the world.
Yep.
Because it quadrupled in value.
Yep.
And he knocked Jeff Bezos as well as Elon Musk from the top spot.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not technically, by the fundamentals, in a recession.
Correct.
Right now.
Right.
And we're not technically in inflation, because if you look at the different economists, they're saying different things to Chairman Powell. Yes, you need to raise rates to kind of slow down what you're trying to slow down. But it's my phone. But if you do it too fast or too much, you're going to put us into a depression, because then people are going to stop doing things. So now you see companies are starting to do massive layoffs. Mm. So it's kind of a delicate balance. You have to do a give and take.
Now now let me ask you a question.
Man, I love those gems you drop, boy.
Dude, you dropping mad gold. So
I'm gonna call you during business hours or after business. I need to learn some more. I need that type of teaching.
Dude, I think that and all that is a piece. It's all a piece, right? It's not separate from COVID. It's not separate, but we do know that was what we would call, I guess, a kind of a earthquake in our economy, because our economy, or especially on the real estate side, used to be very predictable. It was very predictable. We knew around the summertime we were going to have a boom, and then around the wintertime we were going to have a little bit of a slowdown, and then around February people were going to start inquiring, and we back into our spring market. And we also knew around every 10 years or so we would flip-flop between a seller's market and a buyer's market.
Yeah.
By and large, not purely to the definition of the word, but by and large, right now we're technically in a seller's market, but it feels like a buyer's market, even though according to the numbers we're technically in the seller's market, right? And so I feel it's similar to a recession where, for example, in 2007 was when the recession technically started in 2007. We didn't find out we were actually in a recession, or we didn't find out, this is actually when it first started, until like a couple years later. Then they look back at the trends and they go, actually the recession started in 2007, even though in 2008 they were still saying, no, we're not in a recession. So I think that, because, we got to deal with the public sentiment, like I think we were talking about a couple weeks ago, the public sentiment, which is everybody, if they just say, we're in a recession right now, everybody's going to basically crap the bed, right? So I think they're trying to hold off on that languaging. So I agree with you. The inflation statement that you made, I do have a question about why do you feel that, or where do you, what numbers are you referring to with regards to us not being in an inflationary market right now, given everything that we've seen?
So again, we'll go back to technicality. So technically, fundamentally, if you go by the pure definition of it, we are. But you have to look at how he's managing it. Look at what happened when the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, when she was only in office for what? A month?
That was political, though.
That wasn't political. She made a snap judgment and did all of those corrections to fix the economy, and it went into a tailspin.
Well,
similarly to what Powell is trying to do.
But I think they sabotaged her a little bit, because the policies that she was implementing, I think they were actually really good. I would say conservative, for lack of a better word, conservative fiscal policies. And they were like, nah, we don't want, I think they didn't want her to win. So they didn't give her the tools that she could have won with. And because of that, her policies didn't work. And then they were like, oh, we're not going to let you do what you want to do.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the United Kingdom as a whole. Like,
no, you're not talking about Theresa May, are you?
I know she was a conservative, and then she got put in place for like a year, and then
No. I'm talking about most recently.
Oh, okay. Tell me about that.
So there was
because I think we're talking about the same person.
No,
I'm not sure about her name.
She was only there for literally a month.
Doesn't want to just resign.
Resign.
Okay.
The one that just resigned because she put in draconian stormtrooper.
What's your definition of
Sith Lord?
What's your definition of that?
She basically cut everything.
Uh-huh.
And like the retirements, the healthcare, all of that stuff,
yeah,
immediately, and then their stock market just spiraled out of the control.
Yeah,
the pound had been at its lowest mark since forever, and then people were like, "What are you doing?" And then she was like, "I'm trying to tap down inflation," and they were like, "Bruh,
she has to do that if she wants it,
but not so
drastically, sure,
right?" And so she resigned, and then they were like, "She say again?"
I don't think she should have resigned.
She had to, because what she did was have egg on her face, because she did it. That's just like, okay, someone says, Dan, your finger is broken. And they're like, and the doctor's like, okay, we're just going to cut it off. What? It's broken.
That's like you saying, it's like this. If you go to Smart Settlements and you're like, yo, I got an idea. I have a good idea where we can increase business, we can reduce our expenses, and we can increase our bottom line. Right? And then they go, okay, yeah, go ahead and do your thing, Earl. And then when you say, all right, and to do that, we need to do this, and that. And they're like, nah, we're not trying to do that. And then your policy doesn't actually work because they tied your hands and didn't actually allow you to make the changes that you wanted to make.
But they allowed her to make the changes, and literally, instantly, the next day.
Well, yeah, that's going to happen.
But they did that for like a month.
I think you got to, I agree with you. I think what Powell is doing, trying to slow walk it, to me is a little bit too late, right? Because keeping interest rates artificially at 2.5% for 2 years, when every single economist was like, yo, this isn't going to turn out well. And they were like, no, inflation is transitory. We got it. We're good. The whole time they kept saying inflation is transitory. Meanwhile, inflation is continuing to creep up because, yeah, inflation is transitory. But keeping it at 2.5% for 2 years, almost 2.5 years, I think showed to me a lack of strength of character on Jerome Powell's part to say, you know what, I'm going to slowly increase these bad boys. Y'all not going to like me, but we got to get it done. And now here we are, randomly pushing them up.
Well, here is the issue with that, and I think both of you can appreciate this. So for the previous 2-3 years, the real estate market in the United States domestically has been at an all-time high. Mm-hmm. Real estate agents and mortgage brokers was getting their man. They was making gazillions of dollars, right?
And doing no work.
Right, because the interest rates were at the lowest ever, and they'll never be at 3% ever again.
No.
Ever. I mean, basically, you could be the wackest real estate agent and the wackest mortgage broker, and you were riding around on a unicorn with golden wings and a rainbow horn, and people thought you was the best. You was the Bama of the millennium.
Yeah, everybody was a top producer.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Right? And then when you tell when I was in settlements and I was telling your clients, they were like, oh, well, all I got was a 3% rate. My man got 2.5. And I'm like, Slim. Do you know that like this has never happened before?
Do you know in 1986 interest rates were 17%?
Like you tripping? Like you.
Right.
Like and even now, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Like the rates that are here now
yeah.
are normal.
Correct. Normal. And they tripping. That was what we were talking about. I'm like, yo, at 5%, everybody was tripping. And then they go to 7 and everybody craps the bed. And then they go back to 6 and everybody's like, oh yeah.
And that's the roller coaster that I've been talking about, because like when everybody was like, okay, I missed the boat at 3% because I felt like, well, I shouldn't say but people were thinking like, oh, they're going to keep going down because that's what they had seen. But we were on the incline, right? And then they get, like, oh no, like you said, oh no, we're going up, you know, and we hit 7%. And then now, you know, and on the way you hit 5. Now we're coming down and we've gotten to the 5% space. The 5 is still the 5.
Right.
But like we've been talking, like 5%, interest rate in the mid-5 rate range is a healthy environment for builders to build, for buyers to buy, for sellers to sell. It gives confidence in the market, and it gives a sense of stability.
Bro, 7% does the same thing.
Okay.
I mean, I think 7% does, but not when you're coming from 2, which is why that's my question. Like, is Jerome Powell a genius, or is he stupid?
He can read,
and I think he's the evil genius.
No, I think these,
because I think he does. I think he's doing it on purpose. You have to.
Well, listen, I think there's an intentionality behind it, but I think if you look at history and you look at stats and you just look at what's happened over time, and you gotta also like sprinkle in a little bit of variable, like there's some outside circumstances that
COVID, that was a global epidemic.
Sure.
Right.
So I don't think that. And, I mean, you also have to look at the response to the COVID global epidemic.
And I don't think this is no diss against you two in particular. I don't think real estate agents and mortgage brokers educated their clients properly.
Okay. What do you mean?
They didn't tell them on the front end, listen, this 2%, this 3% you about to get, Slim,
dude,
this is not normal.
Dude, I said
that how you live
to many of my clients.
Pull
they
the trigger.
Didn't believe. They were like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait." Like, dude, don't wait. What are you talking about? It's never
get it back. How you live and get this house. Well, it might go lower, bro.
What you want, 0? You think you're gonna go to 0%?
You need to get on the Google machine.
Get on the Google machine.
Because unfortunately, a lot of millennials and Gen Zs did not understand. So I'm 51 years old. Okay,
damn.
Watch yourself, champ. I'm
64275.
I'm old enough to remember when in the 70s, growing up in New York, when there was an oil embargo, when leaded gas, I mean, you had to put the gas out in the back of your car and pull the license plate down.
Wow. That's
right?
My grandma.
Say what?
That's my grandfather's car.
That was when people used to come and pump the gas for you?
No. You still had to pump it yourself. In New Jersey, they pump the gas for you.
Okay.
In New York, you still pump your own gas.
Okay.
But leaded gas, before there was unleaded gas was expensive. You could get leaded gas in the 70s. It was $4 a gallon. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, in the 70s and the 80s, an interest rate on a home was 17%.
Yeah.
People don't realize when Ronald Reagan was president, the top tax rate was 95%.
Good movie.
Hey.
Yeah.
Now it's bracketed.
Sure.
But the top tax rate was 95%.
Right.
So again, it's under education or miseducation of consumers.
Yeah. I think a lot of that has to deal with also the headlines. So there's a chart here on this article that I was reading, and it talks about the home price growth since 2019. And, when you look at headlines, you'll see headlines, oh, we've had this, and that, because they want to sell clicks. We already talked about that in prior episodes. According to this chart, in January 2019, home price appreciation was at about 5%. 2020, January, a year later, we're still at about 5%. Then January 2021, 2 years later, we hit 20% home appreciation growth. 2021, we hit a little bit above 20% in 2022. And then the latest data in November, according to this one is CoreLogic and the S&P from First American. As of November 2022, The home price appreciation was at 9.2%.
So is that nationally?
Nationally.
So this is the other thing too, right? So we live in the Maryland, D.C., and Virginia area, right?
A bubble in it.
Which is a bubble.
Yeah.
So if you were to look at, so this area is different than any other area in the country.
Right.
So during the financial crisis, the real estate crisis in 2007 going forward to 2010, 11.
Yeah.
The recovery time from those bad mortgages in every other place was on average for you to get your value back 4 to 6 years.
Yeah.
What do you think it was in the DMV?
6 months, I'm guessing.
13.
13 months? Yep.
Because we are in the seat of power in the country, in the DMV.
Yeah.
Congress, the Senate, defense contractors, just big businesses here. People don't realize this. The technology corridor, the largest technology corridor in the country, is not in Silicon Valley.
Loudoun County.
It's in Dulles.
Yeah.
Wow.
The largest.
Have you been out there and seen it?
Yeah.
Bro, have you been?
I have not.
You got to take a ride.
Do you know where the largest human genome corridor is?
Where?
Where I live, in Montgomery County, in Rockville and Gaithersburg.
Wait, you live in Moco?
Yeah, I live in Rockville.
Where you at? Yeah,
I live in King Farm, right across the street from Shady Grove Metro Station.
Oh, you live in them big, huge houses?
Stop that. I live in a townhouse.
You live in the joints with all the land and big.
No.
What you gonna find us then to get in your pocket quick?
Yeah.
No. Gated communities?
King Farm is not gated. So it's in Gaithersburg, Shady Grove, the human genome, all those human genome projects, all of that stuff is right there. Why are they there? Because they're close to the NIH. The second largest tech corridor is here in Maryland. So people don't realize that. That's why do you think they put HQ2 here?
Mm-hmm.
Not just because it's by the Senate and the Congress, because it's by the tech corridor. Mm-hmm. So if you go down the Dulles Tollway, all of the other stuff. So that's the thing. The DMV has a different bubble when it comes to real estate prices. And so that's the variable that's different here for us when it comes to those different things. Mm-hmm. And people don't talk about that in this area, which is unfortunate. So all those different variables make this area, when we talk about real estate, different than every other area.
Mm-hmm. So there's a matter of education that I feel like, I mean, with all the things that you said in terms of your background and your MBAs and your master's degrees and undergrad and all, the way you break it down, and we just broke that down, like, I hope y'all are listening and paying attention, because this is what it looks like when you invest in yourself. Investments are not just monetary, but you taking the time to slow life down and say, I know you have daughters or
two daughters. 14 and about to be 13.
So I think above anything else, being a great dad is primary, right? And then you have an education, but you've invested in time in your family, invested time in your education, you invested time in your craft. You're speaking as a highly skilled, highly traveled, intelligent black man that other young black men need to like grab onto like these gems that you're giving, that they can be given to future generations. Man, I am absolutely blown away, like what you're talking about, because we can turn these cameras off and talk about other things. You can talk about culture and be just as educated, because you're going to take the time to get to know it and dive into it, right?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
What kind
and on top of that, like if you see the man feet, he got an undefeated Air Force One.
I was literally going to say that.
So
what kind of shoes you rocking, brother?
Air Force One
So
undefeated,
for those of y'all in the Real Estate Wire Squad, that when you watch this on YouTube, you'll see Earl. Pardon me. What's your last name, Earl?
You always mispronounce my name. It's because you're from the DMV. It's Errol.
Yeah, that's what I said, Earl.
You said Earl.
I said Earl.
Errol. E-R-R-O-L. Earl is E-A-R-L. It's phonetic.
Errol.
Make love to the R's.
Errol.
Hey, listen.
Errol.
I knew it was coming because.
What's your last name, Earl?
Williamson.
Black folks say Earl.
Especially from here.
You're right. You Earl.
So I have a quick story, right? So I was working at UBS, right? I had a private client.
You black niggas.
So no BS. I had a private client. Her name was Miss Johnson.
Okay.
So she was old DC money, like old DC money. You know, family were escaped through the Underground Railroad, all that, you know, black bourgeoisie, you know, went to Howard, Spelman, Morehouse, the whole thing.
Gotcha.
You know, big landowners in Maryland and Virginia and, you know, all of that stuff. She was worth about $40 million.
Wow, nice.
So I met her through a friend of a friend. So she comes to my office. So you guys remember the women's clothing company, St. John's?
Nope.
So St. John's is a company that makes silk, linen, and cashmere knitted wear for women. So if you ever Google St. John's for women, it's a very expensive clothing.
Okay.
Very expensive. So this lady had on just all St. John's. You know, she had, you know, not Louis Vuitton, not, you know, Gucci. She had on Celine, and Celine is a purse company, which is very expensive.
Heard of that.
And Louboutin shoes.
Oh, I see. Yeah, this is like what I see, like those attorneys, like they be wearing St. John's. Okay, it's cool.
So she comes in. She's with her assistant, who was her granddaughter.
Okay.
So she needs a new private banker. So we meet. I take her out to lunch at P.F. Chang's when it was still open at the White Flint Mall. Chopping it up. She was like, you know, I like you, blah, 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 blah. Tell me about yourself, your family, blah, 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 woo, woo, woo. So she was like, what's your name again? I said, my name is Errol. She's like, spell it. I spelled it for her. So we're filling out all the paperwork. My assistant is filling out all the paperwork. She's like, she kept calling me Earl. She was like, your name is Earl. Your mama was just trying to be fancy. I said, no, ma'am. I'm a junior and my family's from Jamaica, both sides. And Errol is a British name, like Errol Flynn, like Errol's video that used to be here. It's pronounced Errol.
That was Earl's video.
No, it's Errol's.
It only had one L in that one, though.
Yeah, mine is only one L as well. Errol.
I remember Errol's.
Yeah. So, and just like Errol Flynn, the swashbuckler or whatever. So she was a Link and she was a Delta and all this other stuff. She was just in everything. So she becomes my client. She incessantly called me Earl. And, you know, it used to be like a big pet peeve of mine for people to mispronounce my name. But when I moved to this area, I just understand.
We're trying our best.
Right. He's just trying to best.
It's Earl.
Right.
It's going to be Earl.
So she takes me, she was like, I want you to meet me at the at this restaurant in Georgetown. So I meet her and it's with some of her Delta friends and Link friends. So she introduces me properly. She's like, this is Errol. This is my private banker. And I want you ladies to do some business with him. And this lady, no cap, her name was Gladys. Miss Gladys. And she called me Earl. And she was like, Gladys, his name is Errol. His name is spelled Errol. His name is not Earl. You will call him Errol. He was like, well, I'm okay. Relax.
Chill, bro.
So we're talking or whatever. We have a great dinner. I go to pay. She was like, no. I'm going to pay. I'm like, Miss Johnson, I can't let you pay. She was like, Errol, I will pay. So it's like 6 of us there. So she pays or whatever. The valet brings their cars up or whatever. And all the ladies leave. They bring her car up. And her granddaughter is driving her. She's in this V12 Mercedes. So I go to open the door for her. And I give her a hug, give her a kiss on the cheek. She said, Call me tomorrow, Earl. I said, I just can't win for losing. But she would not let anybody else mispronounce my name.
I love it.
But she was calling me that because she knew it was a pet peeve of mine. But I digress.
That bonded y'all in a way, because that story is such a great story.
It
feels like, and this is an older woman, right?
Oh,
so
for sure.
So this is, you already understand, like, it's a yes ma'am, no ma'am. You're going to treat her like grandma or your mom or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So in a sense, she can kind of say what she wants.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you let her know what your name is, and you identify that this lady is going to call me what she's going to call me, so you let it ride. But I think that shows something about the character of you and how much you actually can fall back and just like, you know what, I'm gonna let this go. But she loved you so much, so she wasn't gonna let nobody else do it to you.
Right. It's so interesting. So when I left the firm and I went to go work at GW, she was devastated and livid at me.
Mm-hmm.
Like livid. Like really livid. And when I got my MBA from GW, she didn't come to the graduation. She was like, I can't sit down in them stands that long. Mm. But she came and brought me a graduation gift.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Tight.
Yeah.
So let's get to the real estate, hot or not. Like that, Earl?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I told you the drink was hot. So I want to do a little bit different though. I want to do a real estate either or.
Okay.
I didn't want to just call it either or. I wanted to like actually do it either or. So let's get to the real estate either or. And then Earl, I want to talk to you about your religious.
Errol. The man's name is Errol.
I said that, Earl.
No, you didn't.
Errol.
Just let him make it.
Errol. So.
We're going down the religious road again?
No. We don't have to. I mean, eventually, yeah. But I want to get to the real estate either or. So let's do this. So Earl, we're gonna rapid fire these either ors. All right.
Yes.
Would you rather have a home sauna or a home gym?
Home gym.
Let's say you coach.
Gym.
Would you rather have a lake? Well, I would prefer to have a home sauna if I gotta choose, because I ain't getting no bigger. Would you rather a lake view or a pool view? Come on. First up.
Lake view.
You know I'm country, lake view.
I know you want the lake view.
Yeah, you know.
I don't do water, period. So I hope you. I have no need. Look, I'm 41 years old. I've lived my entire life without having to learn how to swim. I'm not gonna.
That is not good.
Everybody says it, and yet I'm still alive. So
it's because you don't go by the water.
Okay, so we
the water comes. But if the water comes, you better figure it out.
I got a kid now. Let me say this for all the black folk out there: I do know how to swim.
Okay.
So I'm not just gonna like sink to the bottom of the water. But do I do it for enjoyment? Like just go to the pool and take a couple laps? I'm not that guy.
Do your children know how to swim?
My son, actually, funny that you asked. We just started him on swim lessons about 3 weeks ago.
Because that's
my wife is a swimmer.
That's one of the major death issues in black families because they can't swim.
But it's when they have pools. So we don't have a pool.
No, period.
But you're more likely to drown in your pool than if you don't have a pool. I think that's inarguable.
But sometimes kids go to the pool, he can't swim or go to a party or whatever.
Well, it's a mood issue because my son knows how to swim.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm smart enough to stay away from the water. But if he fell in, best believe Pop's like jumping in there and getting it. Yeah. My wife is a fish. Okay. I mean, she's a human, but she's also a fish.
A mermaid.
She's like a half fish, half. Yeah, but the top part is a fish and the bottom part is
real Ariel.
So she's
Venezuelan Ariel.
Real Earl. Also pronounced Earl. Okay. Last one. Would you prefer carpet or hardwood?
Hardwood.
Hardwood floor.
Why is everybody like hardwood? I like carpet, man.
Carpet is nasty.
Carpet is beautiful. It's soft. It's nice, and you can take your socks off.
It has too many microbiology.
You get a new microorganism. You just clean it.
No.
Get a brand new carpet when you move in.
But why would you do that when you could just have
hardwood floors are cold. They're hard.
You can get them heated.
Who's going to do that? I can get a heated carpet, just regular carpet. I don't got to get it heated. Check and make.
No, because you can get old hardwood floors, recycled hardwood floors for the same price with a heating element that you can brand new shag, beautiful carpet.
Your electric bill is higher because
no, it's not
hardwood floors don't hold in heat as much as carpet does.
But here's the thing: if you use thermodynamics, if you use thermodynamics to heat your floor, you don't have to worry about it.
Why are we going into thermodynamics?
Because this man's smart. He know what he's talking about. We cheat.
How do you use thermodynamics? I mean, you can use thermodynamics, but it is going to increase your budget.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, to put thermodynamics underneath a hardwood floor, inside a house that doesn't have it.
Listen, so you're not going to get cheap carpet, right?
No, but it's a pretty nice, decent,
so you're gonna
mid-grade carpet.
So you said
not like the cheapest one.
You're not going to do mid-grade. Come on, bro.
A nice mid-grade carpet.
So how many times are you? So you own a house for 30 years. How many times are you going to change the carpet?
I mean, you're probably going to clean it at least once a year. Do
so how much does that cost?
Clean it. I haven't priced it out.
I'm just throwing a number out there for a 4-bedroom
for the whole house.
4,000 square feet.
I would say 3,000 square feet house. $1,500.
Okay, and you're going to do that once a year?
Yeah, sure.
Times 30 years. What's that?
Let's make it easy. Let's say $1,000, and we'll say $30,000.
Okay, so that $30,000,
and we have to add the comfort.
Okay,
right.
So that $30,000 that you just spent,
and write in the savings on the electric bill.
Okay, listen, that $30,000 that you just spent, you can have hardwood floors and do thermodynamics in your house for $20,000.
But I'm not going to be comfortable.
You will be comfortable.
No, you would be comfortable.
Your feet.
I wouldn't be comfortable.
Why wouldn't you be comfortable?
Because I don't like hardwood floors.
But you just said about the cost. I'm just breaking down the cost.
Well, no, it's a combination of factors. One, the cost. To me, the cost is negligible.
And then you would save on your heating bill and your cooling bill.
I'd like to see those numbers if you would save.
Thermodynamics, all you do is.
So I'm saying without thermodynamics,
you just drill. All you got to do is just drill down 8 feet and below your.
Drill down 8 feet. Can I just move in?
No, I'm just saying.
Live in the house.
You drill down 8 feet below your foundation, and it just uses the thermos that are below your foundation to heat the water that you're using throughout your house.
Okay, I could do that, or I could just and
it's $20,000.
Install carpet, and I'd be straight. And plus, I like the look of carpet.
Do you have pets?
I don't have pets.
Okay.
I mean, if I did have pets, I would still want carpet. I understand it though. Don't get me wrong. I understand the logic. I to me, it's just a personal preference. So, I want to ask about your religious background. You said you have a degree in theology?
Yeah.
So, when did you get it? How'd you come about
I got all of those degrees at one time in 5 years.
Good. I have to say, put a pin in this real quick. You are the most interesting man in the world.
So the first three, so I'm not that interesting.
That's a lot.
The first three, they overlap. Okay. So finance and economics and banking and monetary policy, they all have the same base courses. Mm-hmm. And I just had to take a couple of 2-3 courses in between them to get those additions.
So you were studying all those at the same time?
Yeah.
Good.
So basically I started out as a finance guy.
Got it.
And then I was just taking more econ classes. And then my econ advisor was like, if you take these 2 extra courses, you'll have an econ degree.
This is at GW?
No, at Kansas State.
Kansas State, okay.
And then when I took some banking and monetary policy courses as electives. And then my arts and sciences advisor was like, well, if you take these 2 extra courses, you can have on your transcript a degree in banking and monetary policy. And I was like, bet. So before I joined the military, I went to Bethune-Cookman College in Florida, and my major was theology and religious studies.
Got it.
So I had some courses that I brought over from that. And then when I was at Kansas State, the dean was like, well, if you just take these couple of courses, you can have this in theology.
Okay. So you had done a bunch of different things, and then you just completed all those degrees. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's
why I was there for 5 years instead of 4.
And theology, is that, I don't know anything about majoring in theology. Is that, I would assume, I'm just assuming here that it's more geared towards religious theology?
No, it's the base of religious studies, period.
Oh, wow. Okay. What did you learn from that? Are you more religious, less religious now? Because
So I am more spiritual. I don't believe in organized religion.
Dude, I tend to see that when people start studying all the religions, you tend to like, because I studied a lot of.
When I was born, I was baptized as a Christian.
Sure.
Then I became a Muslim, and I was a Muslim. I was in the Nation of Islam for a long time, and then I became an Orthodox Muslim.
Are you part of the fruit?
I was a fruit of the Islam, and then I did shahada. I did
Did you shahada?
I did shahada when I was 11.
Oh.
And then I did Hajj and I did Umrah twice.
What are those two?
Hajj is when you go on your pilgrimage to Mecca.
Oh, wow.
And you do the circuit around the Kaaba.
How old were you then?
I was in the military, so I was like 20.
Okay.
It was right after Desert Storm. And then when I did that, I had an epiphany similar to Malcolm X.
Yep.
That organized that the Nation of Islam has its good and bad points.
Sure.
But while I was there, I also went to Jerusalem and did the Wailing Wall. And so my belief is that in the Judeo-Christian Islamic system, that the Creator basically, if you look at the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran, they're basically the same.
Yep.
Up until the death and birth and death of Jesus Christ. So I attend a Christian church now. But I still read the Quran. I still read the Torah. I even read Hindu scriptures as well as Buddhist scriptures. I believe that the Creator basically gave these things as guideposts for us to read and understand, to give us guidance. But just like anything, man takes something and uses it for his own devices.
Sure.
As a control device.
So have you found, because I study a lot of religions too, and then I kind of came to the same conclusion that you did, which is, it seems like everybody's kind of talking about the same thing. And they all kind of diverge at around the end of the Old Testament, and everybody kind of chooses their own adventure, if you will. And then everybody, you go down the different guru path, and whichever one you're going to pick is who you go with. Were your parents Muslim? Because that's kind of a little bit, I would say, different than most people who grew up Christian to be able to take a shahada at 11.
No, they didn't know.
I got it.
No. They didn't know.
No.
So at 11, though, did you have like an influence on somebody that
I grew up in the South Bronx in the 70s, bro. In the project. Yep. So I had a lot of friends that were in the Nation.
Yeah.
So I still went to church, but I also snuck and went to the mosque.
So you were learning and educating yourself.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. Because I don't have the experience of learning and educating myself as a youth, but as I've gotten older, to take the time, in this conversation, it makes me think of the scripture that talks about, studying to show yourself approved, a workman that needs to not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And it's like, the only way that you can rightly divide something is if you study. Like, you got to get it for yourself. And in any religion, you can't go off of what somebody else says, or because that's actual religion. That's following the ways of somebody else and doing it just because it's what somebody said. But the matter is really about relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what I key on. And the only way to know about relationship is to get in it and be immersed in it and learn it. And it's a sensitive subject, amongst. I mean,
I don't know why though. I don't know why.
Well, and brothers here, we can have a conversation.
Sure.
And there's somebody might think right, wrong, or whatever, but there's no beef in that. But then you bring that conversation of politics and spirituality into the workplace, and it's always shunned upon, because you don't do that because of the offense that somebody else might take towards it. But I think it's about the spirit in which you present whatever it is you're presenting. This maybe some companies say, hey, no matter what spirit you present it in, like, keep that out of here. Okay, fine. But you could present something like when you say all the different things that you say about all the things you've learned and read on your own. There's no debate that, and you as well, like, because you study as well, like, there's no debate that you know what you're talking about, like, because you read and you studied it, and like the facts are the facts. And history, has proven a number of things that say, okay, it is real. I mean, you got these places that you read about that you've been to. It is cold in here. You get cold?
I'm fine. We have a saying in Jamaica: only a hit dog hollers. So if people get offended by certain things, if you're saying things that are truthful,
mm-hmm.
the truth hurts.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you something very interesting. So, Jesus Christ spoke Imhadic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is an old language, a Sumerian language, right?
What's the name of the language?
Imhadic.
Okay.
Right? Aramaic. I'm sorry.
I thought that was Aramaic.
Aramaic, not Amharic. I'm thinking about Ethiopians. Aramaic, which is a Semitic language, right? So the word Allah is, if you translate it, it's not actually an Arabic word. If you translate the root of the word, it's Aramaic. The word's translation means God.
Mm-hmm.
So if a Muslim says, Allahu Akbar, all praise be to God, Allah is not a separate God. That's just the word God in Arabic.
Aramaic. Oh, Arabic.
Or in the Arabic.
Right.
Right? So when you see Americans or people who are unlearned hear a Muslim say, all praise be to Allah, they think Allah is a separate God that they're praying to.
Yeah.
It's the same person. That's just the word God in that language.
I mean, I think, religiosity mandates that anybody, anybody who, it's basically otherism, right? Where anybody who is outside of what I believe is the other, right? So even though you could be literally talking about the same thing in a different language, if it's not the language that I understand it to be, then instead of, sitting and asking questions and breaking bread, with a Muslim if you're a Christian, or if, with a Jewish person if you're Hindu, and actually finding that common ground, I think, one, I will say that I think religions have built in to their belief systems kind of what I would say landmines of to keep people inside of their religion. One of the landmines is don't ask questions or don't study any other religion.
But that's actually not true.
What do you mean?
There aren't built-in landmines. If you read the Torah, the Quran...
No, I'm talking about within religiosity. No,
yes.
In the purest form of the knowledge, sure, there are none. It's all...
But if you read the books that you're supposed to have as guideposts, they don't.
And that's my point. When you read for yourself and step outside of religiosity, which is just studying, following the rules, but not understanding the actual intention or the message of the message,
right?
And get bogged down with religiosity, which is, we're going to follow the rules irrespective of how they hurt people, or, I think we were talking about this a while ago, Marcus, which is sometimes you can do the right thing, but you're doing it at the wrong time, which makes it wrong.
Right. Like if you look in the Bible, right, it says Jews, Gentiles, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't say Baptist, Episcopalian, Catholic, Mormon, Protestant, none of that.
And even if you look at the original translations, if we're talking about original translations, the word Gentile has nothing to do with your nationality.
No.
The word Gentile has to do with anybody who doesn't study Torah.
Right.
That's it. So anybody is a Gentile who doesn't, according to the Jewish religion, a Gentile is just anybody who doesn't study Torah.
Right. So it's just people. Again, people.
Yeah.
They get in their feelings.
I love having the conversations, and this is dope. This is a dope one because, probably about 10 years ago, I was in Reston Town Center, and I was at a maybe longer than that, probably 15 years ago. But I was in Reston Town Center. They had a outdoor festival, and there was a number of tents. You have insurance agents, you had title companies, lenders, realtors, whatever. Somebody making crafts and things like that. But there was this Islamic tent, right? They had come and set up their tent, and they had brochures. And they were just talking to people and things, and just exposing them to the faith. And as a Christian, I was sitting there, I walked up, and I grew up in a sense of like you only really fraternize with those of like-minded, spiritual beliefs. And I never understood. My thought was always, I don't know what he believes until I talk to him about what he believes. And I was always unafraid of having the conversations, the conversations I can have with y'all or clients or whoever. Like, I've always been able to have healthy conversations. So not thinking that I could do that kept me from doing that. I also didn't really know anybody that really could. There was a dude I went to middle school with and high school with who actually claimed to be a part of the Nation of Islam, but he was such a daggone knucklehead. Like he was always in trouble, like always violent. And I was like, so I kind of never really had the conversation with him. But then that day in Reston, I was like, I stopped and talked to the guy, and he was the nicest dude, and he was able to articulate his belief, and it made me want to. I probably still even have the brochure that he gave. It made me actually like think that, man, maybe I've been doing this wrong. Like to think that there's no other perspective than the one that I grew up with. There's no other, because how else? And I want to make it clear, I'm not saying right or wrong on any side of it. I'm saying like somebody else living in a different place in the middle of, wherever he comes from, Morocco or wherever, this is what he's been exposed to. This is what guides his life. And this is what has him feeling and thinking like, I'm doing the right thing, horizontally to people,
right,
but also vertically unto God, and it's not the extremist mindset that we see, it's like the most peaceful thing. And so then I think about other religions, and I think to make a long story short, or even long story even less long, I think it is healthy to have an understanding of everything that's around you. Yep. You do have to make decisions, and understand what would guide your life. But I think it's very, very healthy to just be a nice person, right?
Yep.
And to be accommodating to what Earl may know and what Dan may know, and guide yourself accordingly. Because even if you are a Muslim, or if you are you study Kabbalah, right?
Kabbalah, yeah.
Kabbalah. And I read the Bible. It doesn't make you any better or worse than me, or like in those things. So, and if I did come across as like shouting at the Bible, and stand on the ladder, I'm sure you remember those days back in New York. They'd be like, nah, bro, I can't. It could be the right thing.
Yep.
Done the wrong way.
Yep. So I'll give you two things. One, I believe that the Creator disseminated informations in the four corners of the earth, the way that those people in those four corners of the earth would receive it, which is deemed quote unquote religion. So Islam was placed here, Christianity was placed here, Buddhism was placed here, Hinduism was placed here, Judaism was placed here, the way that these people would receive it. African deities were placed here, whatever. Secondly, I cannot think of the name of the movie. There's a movie with Lou Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid. Lou Gossett Jr. plays this lizard alien type of thing, and Dennis Quaid is like this astronaut. And they're marooned on this planet. And they were enemies, and then they end up becoming friends.
Okay.
And Lou Gossett Jr.'s character, he's in prosthetics. He's asexual.
Okay.
So he can get himself pregnant. He has a son, and the son's name is Zamis.
I think I've seen this movie.
Right. And so Lou Gossett Jr. character asks Dennis Quaid to make sure that he takes his son back to his home planet to do this ritual to ascend to be a man. And he learns how to speak Lou Gossett Jr.'s the creature's language. And so they finally get off the planet, but Lou Gossett Jr.'s character dies. And he takes Zamis to his home planet. And in his language, he does this ritual for him to be a man. It's like a naming ceremony or something like that. And the bottom line to that whole movie, in my estimation, and what you were just talking about, is several things. One, each one teach one. Be kind to those who are kind to you, and even be kind to those who are not kind to you.
Yeah.
And be open and honest about learning and experiencing other things that are not of what you know. And if we did that, we would live in such a better society.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about if you believe in a higher power, why would he or she allow for there to be such a cornucopia, such a rainbow of goodness, and it not to be explored
by everybody?
Yeah.
Why would he not want to have intersectionality?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good question. Very deep.
That is a good point. That leads us to our last question for you, Earl, which is, because I don't want to keep you in here all day, because we'll be talking all day. Where do you see the real estate? Where do you see real estate and the role of real estate agents 20 years from today?
So I believe that real estate agents will always be needed. And here's the reason why I say that. You have, the Zillows and the Redfins and
Open Door,
and being able to go online and do things. But there is nothing like the personal touch of a human being able to go into a property and have the experience and knowing a neighborhood and how a neighborhood is physically turning from the experience of being around that neighborhood and being an expert of that neighborhood. Same thing for a mortgage professional, knowing how that neighborhood or neighborhoods are turning. I was just talking to one of my colleagues earlier today. He was asking me about the market and high frequency trading and online trading and all these bots and AI doing trading. And if you look at some of the most recent market crashes, most of them have been caused by artificial intelligence and high frequency traders because they have an inability to understand when there was a trade ticket mistake or something like that because they act so fast. A human can see, can tell, oh, that must be a busted trade. There's no way that happened. Let me wait this 30 seconds and see if the trade will be corrected, as opposed to a high frequency trading bot will see it react, and then other bots will react off of that, and then there'll be a cascading of events. If you don't have a human being that can tell you about a neighborhood or a series of neighborhoods or neighborhoods around a neighborhood that you're looking at, having an algorithm or an AI tell you about it, they don't have the human touch.
So artificial intelligence, not as intelligent.
No, it will never
not
be.
Yet.
Yeah.
I don't ever think it ever will be.
No, I don't think so either. I think that I think with the emergence, or I'll say the proliferation of AI, I think it's just going to spur a new economy, a new type of economy. Because I think we talked about this on one of the prior episodes. Is that 30 years ago, we didn't have empires being built on the internet, right? The internet wasn't even a thing. It was just a couple guys with computers, that were on a network together. And now we have entire platforms built on top of platforms, right? And so with this emergence of Internet 4.0 now, we're at 4.0, which is going to be, there's going to be AI prompt specialists, right? Where it's not enough just to have AI any more than it's not enough just to have a computer. The computer is just a gateway into this landscape. And I think AI prompting, and all the different specialties that are going to branch from AI, the invention of AI or the proliferation of it. I think there's going to be new ways to make money from that. But I don't think anything's going to, you look at like things like blacksmiths, haberdasheries, milkman, those types of jobs have been eliminated for sure. But they've also been replaced by or created by, new jobs, robotics, web design, those types of things. So I think AI is just going to, leave room for that. People who jump in on the technology, people who learn about technology are going to, have a leg up from people who are still stuck in, the fax machine era. You know what I mean?
If I may interject, I hear you, but there are certain things, right, that AI will just never be able to do.
Oh, I agree.
So like you just mentioned several trades. You said like a blacksmith, right?
Right.
Okay, so you can get a robot to make a bunch of horseshoes.
Right.
But that robot won't be able to install those horseshoes on a temperamental horse, not knowing how that horse likes to have his or her horseshoes installed.
It's the relational component.
Right.
Right. But there's still, I agree with you, and there's still there's one person that is going to throw the horseshoes on, as opposed to 15 people that are going to throw the horseshoes on, because not only now you don't got to make the horseshoes, the machine makes the horseshoes, and instead of hiring 6 people, I can just maybe hire one person and buy 2 machines that'll build the horseshoes, that'll manufacture.
And even with the haberdasheries, like if you look at some of these things where they can scan your body, right? That's cool.
Yes.
But there's nothing better, and I've experienced this, than a full basted custom suit.
Right.
Where the motherfucker's not taking, excuse my French, they're not taking a picture of you.
Right.
What they're doing is you walk into Lloyd's in London and you have on a t-shirt and a pair of jeans and some sneakers, and you tell them the fabric that you want, and they basically take a suit. When they say basing it, it's just the suit jacket with no armholes, and there's no lining, there's no nothing. And they measure you and they build that, and you come back that afternoon, and then they start layering in the lining, the padding, and if you want it unlined, half line, quarter line, 3/4 line, and they're just doing it piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece.
You've had that experience.
Yes.
Yep. Is that one of them?
No, this is not a fully basted one. This is handmade, but it's not. But the fully basted experience is orgasmic.
Yeah, I did. Look,
now I will tell you this, and I'm not trying to like size myself up. It is a, I won't say expensive. There is a cost to getting that done.
For sure.
But that experience, when you have that and you put that suit on and you step out, like you are crushing it.
Yeah, you know.
Yep.
Like, I mean, and when you do that, you don't just throw on some Tama cans. You go get a pair of fully lasted shoes. You go get a fully basted shirt. Your tie is fully custom. Your shirt is fully custom. Your strap that you wear in your waist, or your bracers, even your hosiery, you get the whole gambit, and you drop 5 bands. But when you throw that outfit on,
you're right.
You're more than right. Like, you could walk up to any woman and be like, Slim.
Yeah.
Your accent changes. Hello there.
You become Jamaican and ain't
No.
Yeah.
You become British aristocracy. Hello, I'm Marcus. Good evening. I work in the mortgage banking industry.
So we need to get some more deals done.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
And we're gonna send them to Smart Settlements.
And then we gotta go. We gotta go to
London.
Listen, I'm telling you,
we're going to London and get a suit.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you gotta go in there. Hey, sir, how are you? Let's take off your shoes, and we're gonna get your foot outlining. And
so the next episode, me and Mark is gonna be fresh with the Lloyd's of London suit. Thank you so much, Earl, for jumping in on the podcast. Where can everybody find you, Earl?
You can find me at on Instagram at Smart Errol or Smart Settlements. You can just look me up. You'll see the beard. And thank you so much, gentlemen. Smart Settlements. We're here for you. SmartSettlements.com with an S. Plural.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate. Next time we're gonna get the beard care routine from you on the next podcast.
I got you.
Where can they find you at, Coach Marcus?
At Mortgage Coach Marcus on all your social media platforms.
And I am Dan at Dan Wheeler Sells Homes on all platforms. Make sure to, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, and hit those notification button so that you know when we drop new content. My name is Dan Wheeler from all of us here at the Real Estate Wire. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. My name is Dan Wheeler from the Real Estate Wire podcast, and we are out. I said my name Dan Wheeler like 5 times.
You did say your name like 3 times. I was like, wait a minute, guy.
Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It was dope.
This was awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm for real about hitting you up because I'm like, this is so much.